So, hello there, and welcome back to another Night of the Movies video. I'm, of course, Spike Knight. Today I am joined by friend Lewis, and in these videos I love talking about things, movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's video, I'm talking about The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies, as we give his first thoughts on that film after watching it for the first time earlier today. So let's get into it, shall we? The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies. The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies is, of course, the third Hobbit movie, and it was released all the way back in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And this film was once again directed by Peter Jackson, who directed all three Lord of the Rings movies and directed the previous two Hobbit movies, and returned in the director's chair for this film as well. And I've already spoken about this on this channel. I love this movie. It's my least favourite Hobbit movie personally, but I think it's still enormously enjoyable. I think because of my affection for the characters from the first two movies, I care about them in this movie because of how much the first two films made me care about them. I care about them in this film as well. I thought that it was a satisfying conclusion, and I think the extended version is the best version of the film because it adds in pieces that just weren't in the original cut and didn't make the original cut feel as satisfying. And I still remember going to watch it at the cinema all the way back in 2014 and coming out of the cinema going, you know what, that was a properly satisfying end to this trilogy, which I love. Now, I don't love this trilogy quite as much as I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I still think it is enormously enjoyable and doesn't get the love it deserves. And now on to Lewis. Lewis, whose journey with the Middle-earth films started... your journey with the Middle-earth films started in June of 2024. It started that long ago.
Is that when we watched the first Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, that's when we watched. Yeah, I'm not joking. Well, I'm going to get it up just to prove to you that it's taken that long.
How the hell have we?
It's taken that long to review all 6 Middle-earth films.
I was thinking that we'd started Lord of the Rings this year.
No. I mean,
watch the Hobbit film.
If only. Right, let's... One sec. Okay, yeah. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring for the first time.
That's insane.
June 21st, 2024. That's when our first video, when I was with Lewis discussing his thoughts on the Lord of the Rings, first came out.
Well, I've got no idea how that's happened.
It's taken us this long, but we finally got to the end of this franchise. We finally got to the last movie in the Middle-earth saga.
You've got no more Lord of the Rings or Hobbit films to show me?
For now, there is apparently another one in the works, but I don't think it's going to be coming out for a couple of years. So, yes,
I guess we'll have to go back to watching random films again.
But we've now watched The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies for the first time. Well, you've just watched it for the first time. I've just watched it for the 15th time. Well, let's say 15th, probably more like, I don't know, a 30th. But anyway, what are your thoughts on The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies, after watching it for the first time?
I really enjoyed it. I think I thought it had a mix. I thought it was a mix of being very, very, very dark, but also being comedic, as the other Hobbit films are.
Still being an adventure movie.
Yeah, it was still an adventure movie with light-hearted bits and comedic bits, funny bits, but they're just the Hobbit films for you. Yeah. And also Lord of the Rings as well, really. But I thought it was by far the darkest of all the three Hobbit films, but I thought it was a good one.
What was your favourite part of the movie?
Well, the main battle, easily.
The main battle,
and it's in the. I like how the title of the film actually resembles the film perfectly as well. It's a nice and simple title. Battle of the Five Armies.
It does what it says on the tin.
And there was a battle of. Well, I counted 4 armies. I don't know which the 5th one was.
It's a bit up for debate, but I've always thought of it as 2 orc armies because you see them coming from 2 different places.
Oh.
There's the Orc army, which is led by Azog, the main villain of these movies, and then there's the Orc army that Legolas and Tauriel, the 2 main elves that we follow, we see them coming from there. So I've always thought of it as, you know, there's the army of the dwarves, there's the army of the elves, the army of the men, or the fishermen, if you want to call it them, if you want to call it that. And then there's the army of the orcs, and then I would also say there's another army of orcs. So that's why. But then you could also argue that the fifth army is the other dwarf army, because there's technically two dwarf armies. Or you can also argue that it's the eagles. You know, it is. I do think it is up for debate, and that's actually what I kind of like about that personally. So yes, you've got 5 armies. I think the battle is done well. Personally, I don't think it's done well. It's just done as well as a battle for Minas Tirith in the third Lord of the Rings movie. You know, the battle with the elephants, the huge elephants. I think that battle is better, simply because of King Theoden's speech, which I think is, like, every time you hear that speech, I just want to stand up and cheer. And I love the elephant. And you don't have anything quite like the elephant in this film, but I do think the battle is done well. I think there's a reason that you haven't seen another fantasy movie do another battle like this since this movie came out. I know a lot of people say, oh, it just looks fake and too CGI heavy, but I personally don't think it does. I think the battle in this movie has more character than a lot of battles that you see in big fancy CGI movies nowadays. And if I was to say, my favourite sequence in the movie is probably the opening sequence with Smaug destroying Lake Town, in all honesty. I don't think the rest of the film is quite as good as that sequence myself.
One of my favourite.
But I do think that the film has a lot of highlights, particularly the chariot scene, which is only in the extended edition. I didn't tell you this, by the way. I showed you the extended edition. I did not show you the original cut, really? Because I think the original cut. So I think the original cut takes things out. You know the whole bit with the chariot sequence with the goats. Yeah. That's not in the original cut.
I like how they use goats. I didn't expect that.
That's not in the original cut. And in the original cut, at one point, Thorin, the leader of the dwarf company, and some other dwarves which are close to him, just randomly get on goats in the middle of the battle and start riding up the hill, and you're like, where the hell have they come from? So, and there's other bits as well, that you don't see Thorin's funeral in the original cut, which I think is a huge part of the film. So yeah, I do think it is important to have those moments in there, and that's why I showed him the extended edition.
Well, I'm glad you showed me the extended edition.
Yeah, I think it's short of the original cut. Of course it is, because, you know, otherwise it wouldn't be called the extended edition, you know, but
it's not like it adds on much.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what it adds on is important. What was the most emotionally moving part of the film to you?
Definitely when the dwarf died, the dwarf who felt love for the female
Killy.
elf.
Killy's name's K-I-L-I.
Yeah, when he died, for me, easily. Just that.
For me, it's always Thorin's death, because of the relationship that you've seen between Thorin and Blbo, and how that develops throughout all 3 movies. Like in the first film, Thorin doesn't really like Blbo until the end. In the second movie, the relationship's stronger, but it's still got there's still moments where it's like, oh, there's hesitancy, there's resistance.
I think you could do a bit better, Blbo.
There's even that moment in the second movie where Bilbo's trying to get away from Smaug, and Thorin just stops him and says, no, go back in there and find the Arkenstone. He doesn't say that, but it's something like that, you know? And in this film, you see their relationship go in a whole different direction.
Got a lot more respect for him.
Well, by the end, also there's a lot more twists and turns in that relationship before then.
Well, I feel like by the end of all 3 films, at the end of each of the 3 films, he absolutely loves him, and then it's like at the start and the next one, it's like he's forgotten all about that.
Well, yeah, I agree with that to a certain degree, but yeah, it is kind of like that. How there is always that,
it's like,
but that's what makes it engaging.
It's
in my
like,
opinion.
all right, mate, we're on to the next film now. Back to start.
But that's the central relationship of all 3 films, and that's the thing which is always going to keep you interested. You know, these films are always built on character relationships. And in the Lord of the Rings movie, it's a relationship between Frodo and Sam, the 2 main hobbits. You know, Frodo's carrying the ring, Sam who's obviously assisting him. And in the Hobbit movie, it's you know, Bilbo and Thorin. Okay, so what did you think of the ending?
Of
how it ended, how it just led up to Lord of the Rings, and how Bilbo said goodbye to the dwarves and everything like that.
I thought the ending was very special, and I thought it made sense, and it was nice. I did like how right at the end they included the scene from the start of the Lord of the Rings, just so it perfectly transitions.
Yeah, they got a scene with Ian Holm, and I think that was his last film, if I'm not mistaken. He plays old Bilbo Baggins. He's very briefly in this film.
Right at the end.
Yes, so I do think it ties up to the film well, especially especially when you watch them all together. Like if you watch them back to back, as I often do around this time of the year. When it gets to New Year, me and my family often watch Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. When you watch them all together and you get to the end of the third Hobbit film, it's like, okay, straight into Lord of the Rings. And I think you feel that, and I think it's done well. We've already kind of discussed this, but I'm going to discuss it again anyway. I'm going to touch on it again anyway. What did you think of Thorin's death?
Well, I thought it was emotional, but not as emotional as Killy.
Yeah, Killy.
Killy. Hence why I didn't mention him before.
Did you think it was done well?
Yeah, I'd say so. I felt like it had a lot of meaning to it, and
Bilbo crying over him.
Yeah, it was hard seeing Bilbo in that state.
What did you think of Smaug's death?
I found it very satisfying. I loved the way when
he seemed like gasping for breath.
Yeah, I love it when the dad fires the really sharp arrow into him. Yeah. It goes into his weak spot. You hear the crunch, and
the music's like just down, and then he just fly up into the air, all the way back down.
And you feel good because he deserves to die after what he's done.
Yeah, I think that sequence works as well.
To be honest.
I think it worked particularly well when you watch it right next to the second movie. I think it would have had a bit more of an effect for you, but it's no one's fault. It's just because we've had such busy schedules. Anyway, you've already touched on Killian Philly's death. Did you enjoy the big battle?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was my favourite.
Did it keep you engaged? Did it keep you entertained?
It did. I was genuinely sat there thinking, what is going to happen now, or who's going to win out of the elves and the dwarves and the orcs? Are they going to team up in a bit against the orcs?
Well, they did team up at one point, yeah. They did team up throughout the battle.
And I found the dwarves quite humorous during the battle as well.
Yeah, there's moments in the extended edition which again aren't in the original cut where like you see Bomber, who is, for lack of a better phrase, the fat dwarf in this film.
He's got ginger hair.
And by the way, I love Bomber. I often think of myself as Bomber. So
yeah, put it this way, belly flops.
Yes, there's a dwarf. I think he's called Bofa, or it might be called Biffa, who's got the axe stuck in his head, and he doesn't say any lines of dialogue in all three movies because he's got the axe stuck in his head, so he can't speak. And only in the extended edition, this does not happen in the original cut, in the theatrical cut. He gets the axe out of his head, and he finally has a line of dialogue.
Why can't he speak?
Because he had the axe stuck in his head. He had an axe stuck in his head.
What, that stops him from speaking?
Yeah, just it's a way.
So he's in all the Lord of the Rings films?
No, in all the Hobbit movies, only not in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. He was in all of them. He's part of the company, but he never says a line of dialogue until this film, and it wasn't even included in the theatrical cut. There you go. Anyway, was there any parts of the film that you didn't like or you thought could have been better? What are you going to say?
I mean, it would have been nice if Christopher Lee was in it a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, I mean...
Think of that. That's what I think of.
The only thing I'll say, I don't disagree, because I think Christopher Lee's a tremendous actor and I love him in these movies, but I love Saruman as a character. But the only thing I'll say is, when you watch behind the scenes on the Hobbit movies, because Christopher Lee was so old, they were shooting his part in the UK and trying to make them fit with everything else going on in New Zealand. Like, the rest of the cast travelled to New Zealand to shoot their stuff, whilst Christopher Lee shot all this stuff in the UK. So they're trying to make it all fit, and I imagine that would have been a nightmare to do. And it looks seamless in this film, so I get what you're saying. What did you think of how Bilbo was used in the film?
I felt like he could have been in it a little bit more.
I will admit...
He wasn't in this one as much. And Bilbo is one of the best characters.
I think that's why it's my least favourite Hobbit movie, personally, because Bilbo, he's the main character. He is the Hobbit in The Hobbit.
He's called the Hobbit.
I do think that he is kind of a supporting character in this film. I think the film's more Thorin's film. You need an example?
I'll give you an example for that.
Go on.
It's like, in Cars 2...
Brilliant.
Okay, I still like the first Cars. I think the first Cars movie is a classic Pixar.
Who thought that in our review of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, we'd be bringing up Cars 2? Not even the first Cars. Cars 2. Anyway. Go on.
What can I say? Right, well, like McQueen, you think he'd be the main character, but in that movie, he really isn't, and it shows.
Okay. No, it's a fair comparison.
I'm just comparing it. The main character in the end turned out to be Mater.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I know it's a bit random.
Okay. Well, I mean, I get the point you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was trying to... There's another example which I almost said then, but I forgot it was. Anyway, I get what you're saying, and I do think Bilbo should have been used a bit more. But I do think he is used well when he's on screen. Would you agree?
He's in all the important.
Yeah, exactly. When he's on screen, I think that's when the film really shines the most. After seeing all three Hobbit movies, who are your favourite characters in all three films?
Bilbo. Oh, surprise.
Surprise.
I quite liked Thorin.
Cool.
Maybe Thorin. I'm gonna choose Legolas instead of Thorin. I like Legolas.
Well, Legolas is one of your favourite characters in Lord of the Rings, so that's not surprising.
Legolas, Bilbo, and let me think. Maybe Gandalf, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Probably those three. If I had to choose three to have on like my team, if I had to take three with me on a journey, I'd have those three.
Well, that'd be a very helpful three. I mean, there's a reason that Gandalf and Legolas
they all bring something different.
Are in the Fellowship of the Ring. They accompany Frodo on his journey in the first Lord of the Rings movie. But anyway,
I think that'd be a good group.
Yes, I would agree. My favourite characters, Bilbo, without a doubt. I've been called a Hobbit before, and so whenever I see Hobbit on screen, I smile. Yeah. People often call me Sam. I don't quite get it, but there you go. I love Bilbo. I love Belfer, which is the dwarf played by James Nesbitt. I love Bomber. I love Radagast the Brown, which is the wizard who loves animals. I love Gandalf in these movies, and I love Smaug. That's probably my favourite characters in all. Those are probably my favourite characters in all the movies. Although I like every character in their own way. The only character I think is kind of underdeveloped is Tariel, the she-elf who has the romance with the dwarf. No. I think that character isn't bad. I just don't think it's she's well developed. And there's rumours she's coming back for the next movie, for the next Lord of the Rings film, which is meant to be a sort of prequel to the first Lord of the Rings when they're looking for Gollum. There's rumours that she's coming back. I don't know if those rumours are true.
The next Lord of the Rings surprise me. Huge. It's been that long since.
And Peter Jackson is involved. He's not directing it, but the guy who's directing it is Andy Serkis, who played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies and in the first Hobbit. So he's got experience in this world. He was a second unit director on the Hobbit movies. I'm looking forward to it, although I'm slightly worried because I don't know. Just to recap to that magic, it's going to be easier said than done. However, those are my favourite characters. Bilbo, who did I say? Radagast, Bomber, Belfer, Smaug. And that'll probably be it.
I've given you my top three.
Those are my favourite characters in the Hobbit movies. So, where does this film rank for you among the other Hobbit movies? Is it your least favourite? Is it your favourite? Or is it somewhere in the middle? How would you rank all three films?
I'll probably say the first Hobbit film is my favourite.
Okay.
The one we've just watched, the third one, is my second favourite. And so I'd go 1, 3, 2. First, third, and second in order, man.
I think I'm kind of the opposite. I mean, but there you go. Diversity of opinions. Hey, mine would probably be. My favourite is easily number 2, just because whenever I watch the second film, I'm brought back to that cinema in 2013, watching the second Hobbit for the first time, and just going, wow, I'm loving this piece. I'm so into this. The first one, I think, is to be honest, the first and the third are kind of interchangeable in terms of where I'd rank them.
I like how light-hearted the first one is.
I'd probably say that for me the first one is number 2 and the third one's number 3. But on a different day, I might also say
the opposites.
I might also say that the third one is number 2 for me on the ranking.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I like all of them. I'd put them all as a tie in first if I wanted, but
I'm asking you to do a rank.
Which is why I did one.
Exactly. Yes.
I did what you asked.
Yes.
But we are very similar, me and Spark. We do agree on a lot of things, but sometimes we are complete opposites when it comes to movies as well.
Although, yeah, we still both love the films. So at the end of the day, it's not like, it's not like he's ranking the Star Wars movies and saying The Phantom Menace is over Empire Strikes Back.
No,
if he was doing that, then I'd get this TV remote, smack him over the head, and
luckily
for him, are you okay?
Yeah, but luckily for him, I do actually agree that The Empire Strikes Back may be the best one.
Oh, there we go.
It's up there with the likes of A New Hope.
Maybe we'll talk about Star Wars in the new year. Maybe that's when we're doing joint videos again. We'll do some talking about Star Wars.
Well, we've already watched all of them together, haven't we?
It doesn't mean we can't talk about them.
Oh, we can watch them again.
Exactly. It doesn't. We've seen them once.
Again.
We can't watch them ever again.
Let's watch them again.
Exactly. We can do something else. Maybe talk about Back to the Future. Yeah. Who knows?
We're going off topic.
Anyway, we're going off topic yet again for a change. We seem to do that in all our reviews.
Yeah.
Back to the Hobbit. What is your favourite Hobbit movie? We've already said that. It is the first one, The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey.
I do need to watch it again, but
what are your overall thoughts on the Hobbit trilogy now you've experienced all 3 movies via the TV in my living room?
I think they're very good.
Brilliant.
Just like I said,
film viewing at its finest. I think they're very good.
Yeah, okay. I bet they're a lot more light-hearted than the Lord of the Rings films.
Well, that would be my next question.
This third one wasn't actually. The third one.
Brilliant. A lot more light-hearted. Not third.
Right. The third one felt like Lord of the Rings, but I'd say the first two are a lot more light-hearted.
Well, isn't that kind of the point? It's not what you want though, because it's meant to go straight into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, true.
If it was it was also with what's going on. If it was just playful and fun, like the first 2 movies, Thorin's dead. Oh, don't worry. So yes, you are a big fan, would you say, of the Hobbit trilogy?
I'd say so. I think.
Do you prefer over the Lord of the Rings trilogy? What's he gonna say? Ooh.
I'd say I probably do, but I think I don't know. I think I prefer maybe. I think the first Hobbit film I prefer over Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I thought the third Hobbit film was a lot like Lord of the Rings, so I'd maybe say I put that with, I don't know. I like them both.
Okay. Well, that was a really detailed answer, where it was like yes, but no, but maybe, but not really.
Okay. I'd say.
Gun to your head, what would you say? Do you prefer the Hobbit trilogy over the Lord of the Rings trilogy? There we go. Bloody hell. Do you prefer the third Hobbit movie over the third Lord of the Rings? Now this might tick me off, depending on what he says. And don't just say something to please me.
Well, to be honest with you, we've been that busy. It's been that long since we watched the third Lord of the Rings film. There's only so. You know the third Lord of the Rings film? Is that where that guy's father tries to kill his son?
I love that's how you think of that film. I mean, yes, but there's about a million other things that happen in that movie.
Well, I think I might actually prefer that film, to be honest with you. Third Lord of the Rings.
That's the correct answer.
I need to rewatch it.
It's all subjective at the end of the day. If people prefer the third Hobbit movie, that's fair enough. But I always prefer the third Lord of the Rings because
I'm not just saying that.
I think it's more emotionally engaging, and just lines in the third Lord of the Rings like I can't carry it, but I can carry. I can't know what is it. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you.
Yeah, I like how the third Lord of the Rings film ends, and that's like the ending.
Yeah,
rather than the ending of the Hobbit, but then it's not over because you've got the.
Well, that's the thing, but that's always the thing about the Hobbit. It's a prequel. I mean, the One Ring is a significant part of the Hobbit trilogy.
It's like getting to the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Well, exactly. Anyway, we've gone on enough. So you are a fan of the Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies.
I am.
Well, there we go, everybody. That's Lewis's thoughts on the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies. And what's your rating if you were to give it a rating out of 10?
I'm not the highest rating, but I'll give it a fairly high rating of 7.5 to 8.
7.5 to 8. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 personally. My least favourite Hobbit movie, but still a blockbuster that is enormously entertaining to watch. Unlike some of the blockbusters which come out this year. Anyway,
Avatar.
that's... Well, you haven't seen the film in all fairness, but
I heard about it from you.
Oh, yeah, I was not a fan. But that, if you want to know my opinion on Avatar Fire and Ash, aka Avatar 3, you can check out my view on this channel already. But anyway, that is it for today's video. Yes, we're fans of The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies, and you like the Hobbit trilogy overall, and that's it for our Middle-earth film reviews. It's taken us a year and a half,
got there in the
more
end,
or less, to get through all 6 of these movies, but we've done it. We are here. We're at the end of our collective joint review on The Hobbit about the Five Armies.
I don't even know what we're going to watch next time I come
I don't know, but
we'll find a new film.
We'll figure something out, and whatever it is, we may or may not make a video on it. But if we do, well, you guys will see that, of course.
I'm just glad that we finally made it.
Finally made it in the end, yes.
Achievement.
Should we handshake on it? It's been a journey. There we go, guys. That's it for today's video. If you did enjoy watching this video, please subscribe. Please, first of all, please let me know your thoughts on The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching or
please
listening.
Remember to leave a like.
Okay, thank you so much for watching or listening to this video, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more videos coming very, very soon on this channel. I've got a couple more videos until I'm done for the rest of the year, but until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will. Do you want to say anything before we end? You know, because of this time of year.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and it's been an absolute pleasure to give you all a review on the Lord of the Rings films and the Hobbit films. Really enjoyed it.
Hopefully we see Lewis again in 2026. But until then, guys, thank you as always for watching, as what he said, and I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.